Hey everyone, welcome to Incense. I'm Ben. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. So if you've been watching my channel a while, you know that I make perfume as like a hobby, just like a hobbyist perfumer. I'm sort of moving towards finishing off or rounding out a collection to launch and sell on Etsy and things. Very small scale, super hobbyist. But the thing about being a hobbyist perfumer and like self-taught is no one teaches you anything. And it's really hard to find information. But I learned a lot from the very start from another YouTube channel, Peter from Fragrance View. And so it really inspired me that when I learn something new myself that is kind of unusual or I haven't seen about very much, I want to make a video about that and share the information as well. You know, it inspires me to share the small pieces of information that I might pick up along the way. And today I'm going to be tincturing some incense and smoke. And I thought it would be interesting because it's really unusual and it's quite unique. And it's a really good way of doing it. So I thought I'd share how I do that. So when you talk about tinctures first, there's advantages and disadvantages to using it in perfume. This is not, if you were making a very incense strong perfume, this is not what you'd want to go, the way to go about it. Probably you would much rather make accords, like incense accords and smoke accords, and blend them together somehow to make a kind of, you know, you'd use frankincense, myrrh, whatever, you know, you'd make your incense accord how you want to, and then you'd blend a kind of smokiness into that, and it would be very, you know, made of aroma chemicals and absolutes basically. And that's how you would normally go about it, and that would obviously give you a very strong central kind of note in your perfume. But let's say you want like a very natural incense kind of tint to your perfume. So you don't necessarily want like a huge incense perfume. You just want to give a little tint. And this is what this is really good for. This will give you, like if you use a tincture, it will give you a very natural smoke, a very natural incense smoke that will smell like you walk into an old temple that's been burning incense for like, you know, decades, if not centuries, and it's kind of ground in, you know, it's in the air, but they might not even necessarily be burning it right now. That's what this will give you. It will give you a subtle undertone to your perfume of a very natural incense. So you need a few things to start, not very much to be honest. This is super cheap. First of all, you need some sort of jar to keep your tincture in. You need some perfume with alcohol to tincture. You need a piece of material. Now what you want is like a t-shirt or something like that, and just cut like a piece of material from that. Yeah, that's what you want. You want it to be as clean as possible, but without, if you wash it, like just wash it with like hot water, because you don't really want like the scent left over of like strong detergents and stuff. So you want to basically keep it as neutral a scent as you can. It's never going to be 100% neutral. It doesn't have to be, but you don't want any strong perfume scent on it. So try and avoid like big detergents. You need some coconut oil, and the last thing you need is your incense, obviously, that you want to tincture, like the smell, the scent. Now you can do this with sticks. I've got these. I'm not going to use these today, but you can do these with sticks. These ones are like really traditional Japanese. It's got like oud and cedar and spices. It's gorgeous actually, but it's not what I'm going to be using today, because I want to make quite a pure incense. So what sort of pure westerny sort of resinous incense. So I'm going to be using frankincense and myrrh, and I'm going to be making this myself, like a blend myself. And also I'm going to be using some, put that there, a popanax. So I'm going to be using frankincense, myrrh and a popanax. And I'm going to that by itself, just those three, will give me a very sort of almost like Catholic kind of Western incense blend that's quite pure. So that's what I'm going to go for. So that I'm just going to be using those three incenses today. So let's move over how to make it. I'm going to need to change the camera and show you how to do this. Okay, so first up, we've got to get a bit mucky. What you want to do is get your material, t-shirt material, and spread it out somewhere, and then get the coconut oil and basically work it into the material. The reason to do this is, okay, so the smoke, what we're gonna do is we're gonna burn the incense, and we're gonna hold the material over it and allow the smoke to penetrate into the fibers and stick to them. This just aids in that because it helps sort of just clog up the kind of fibers and just make them a bit more sort of prone to keeping the smoke stuck in there, and it's a very neutral smell. Smells, when you actually sort of smell it like that, it is a bit coconutty, but once you actually work it in and start sort of, once you burn, you won't smell it once you burn the incense basically. So it takes a bit of time. You don't have to like really kind of, you know, I mean, you don't have to be super anal about it. You just want to basically just work it in as best you can. Just say all we're really trying to do is just help sort of clog up that kind of the fibers a little bit, and help in just aid in the sort of catching of the smoke, I guess. That'll pretty much do us, to be honest. May as well get all this stuff, as much as it off my hands as possible. So the good thing is we actually want as much of this on the cloth as possible, so we can actually use it to mop our hands up. Okay, so next step, you want your charcoal for burning your incense. Chuck some incense on. So this can be like any blend you want, really. Like anything you want to include, you can, as long as it burns, I guess, and smells good. Once it's burning, you just get your cloth that's all ganky and oily, stretch it out slightly and hold it over. And you just want to hold it over the smoke like that, basically, and allow the smoke to kind of penetrate into it. And basically, whilst you're doing this, just burn it for as long as you want, you know, as long as you think you need to kind of really penetrate your cloth and get it really stinking. When we put the oil onto the cloth, you might have noticed that it was like lumpy a bit and kind of janky, but the heat of the incense actually essentially melts the oil, so it doesn't matter. Like that evens out and soaks into the cloth as you go. So yeah, that's why we didn't have to worry too much about it being like accurate when we were chucking it on, because it will eventually spread out across the cloth anyway. So when we're done with that, what we're left with is basically the same cloth we started with, only now it absolutely reeks of like an incensey smoke. So now we want to capture that smoke. We want to make sure we can get that into our alcohol. So simple as, you just stuff it in your jar. So you get your jar, put your smelly cloth in, get your perfume as alcohol, tip it all over, screw your lid on and stick it on a dark shelf like that for 2, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, as long as you want, really. You want probably at least a couple of months. Give it a shake every now and then, just to make sure you're kind of like keeping it moving. Although, because this is not like plant matter or anything like that, you don't really need to give it a shake, because that mostly just stops it rotting, I think. And this isn't going to happen. So yeah, leave it on the shelf for a couple of months and you're done. So that's a pretty mad way of getting incense smoke into perfume. You've got your tincture, stick it on the shelf, leave it there for a few months, job's a good one. It's like I say, if you want a strong scent, this is probably not going to do it for you. If you want like a strong incense note in your perfume, you'll be much better off just making an incense accord in the way you normally would. But if you want just like a background hovering, very naturalistic smoke, photorealistic incense, like burnt incense in the background of your perfume, like as an undertone perhaps, or like as a kind of almost like a sub note, then this is a really good way to do it. It comes across really natural, really smooth, really quiet in the perfume, quite sort of serene, I guess. And it's great, yeah, and tincturing stuff is just great fun. So yeah, that's how you tincture incense. Thanks for watching. If you find it helpful, I don't know, give us a comment or something. Cheers, thanks.